So it's the only one we have, I'm sure, but it's not up to date. And it says right on there, you know, can't change something.
Okay, let me email them. I call them tomorrow, so I don't know if I'll get to it today.
And my dad got my friend, ran it through one and said, and they would pay for it, but you little, had his one.
Okay, so let me ask for an updated one. And
See,
I'll
they
zero
sent me a
out
letter
those.
that I needed to change something different, but I can't quite find it.
Right?
So they sent it in the mail, you know, and I looked at it, and I was like, you think they said it at document?
Who sends mail anymore?
Yeah, and that was from security help.
I didn't get very far here.
The big one, okay.
But I can accelerate it.
Oh, yeah, hang on.
I was gonna still wear it, but I still weird.
Oh, yeah, so actually that is, nope, you're good.
It's actually like.
No.
Okay, alright, I'll look at that, Jamie.
Sure.
I think Mark Schmidt's gonna be gone too.
You can just sit and hit it then.
We gotta bring him in here Tuesday.
Wow.
I was trying to cut down the top. We'll slide all those guys down.
Well, it's now 3:00, so I will call the, finance committee meeting to order. And any public comment? Not, we'll move on to approval of the minutes of the January 18th meeting.
I'll move. Second.
Was that Tony?
Yeah.
Tony and John, motion and a second. Any additions, corrections to the minutes? Not all in favor of approving, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Take up number 1, which is the approval funding for the 2025 purchase of ambulance.
Yeah, so, I mean, you guys have dealt with highway, you've dealt with the sheriff's department, you understand that the bidding process ain't like it used to be. It used to be if I bid an ambulance in January and it was approved by property and finance, I'd have it in August. It's not that way anymore. So I bid them now, I just bid one, got it approved, 261,000, but it won't be here till next February at the earliest, might be even a little bit later than that. That was, one company would get it to be February, the other ones were August, September of 25, so a full year behind. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that when I'm bidding this stuff, I'm bidding it a year and a half in advance. And that's not how our budget system works. So this year, what's in my budget for 2024, ambulance will pay for the one I ordered in 23. So, just so you're aware, that's kinda how the budgeting and bidding process is going right now, because it's that slow to get vehicles, even remounts, and you can't find a used one anymore, but remount, they take our truck, they take the box off and they put it on a new chassis. The two that bid remounts for this year were 5,000 less than a new one, absolutely ridiculous, no reason to buy one. Because you're, old electrical, old framing, the only thing they repaint it, sand it down, they repaint it, and they put a new chassis on it, a new, drivetrain. There's no reason they should be within 4,000 or 5,000 of each other, but they are. So, I just wanted to come, make sure that we're all on the same page, that we know this is what's happening.
What's your time frame on the one that you have ordered now?
End of June is supposed to be here, yep. 24th, I think, was the delivery date. I approved, in our committee meeting, I had Phil Schneider approve the first drawings, which is when they really start building it. So, they approved the drawings, send them back in, and then they start building that truck. So, and the big thing is chassis, they can't get the chassis. So, they said they could buy one now, cause the 25s are available, but if you're not gonna get the truck till 26, it's gonna sit there for a year and a half in a field, and they said that's not good for them either, so they don't really like to order them until they have a confirmed order. So, that's it. So when budgeting times comes, I'm gonna be coming with a, request for $261,000 to stay in my budget for my ambulance for next year, because it's already gonna be ordered.
So you
How about
budget,
paying for the one you're getting now?
That's in the budget for this year, 24.
I have the full amount.
Yep, yep.
What's that one gonna cost?
The one we're getting now is 272, I think it was, for this one. Yep, the company that got the bid this year didn't bid last year. I think the salesman was sick and he didn't bid it. He's been lower a couple different times, so, he's back and he bid it, he beat the next closest bid by, new to new, about 30,000. But this one, he was building it kind of the way we take them, the way the cabinets are and stuff, so it's not a lot different than what we have. So it's a stock unit, it's not built, the cabinetry ain't just exactly like we have now. So, he bid another one that would've come in about 6 months later with the cabinetry the way we wanted, and it was, 278, so that was the next closest bid, so $16,000 higher to bid them the way you want them. So I took the one that was stock. So, and it's close enough.
this is for the ambulance that was approved last month, the property? Did it go?
Last month, the one in, no, my committee approved it last month. This ambulance that's ordered now, will be ordered.
And the ambulances don't have to go through property?
No, used to. I used to go through property and then finance and then the whole thing. That's why I'm giving you this up front, because I don't want a surprise next year when you go, ooh, oh, And the one, I think Randy, you had asked me for an approximate cost of what the ambulances were, and I told you 292,000. The company we usually get them from, that's where I got that number, and that is what his bid was for next year's ambulance, was 292, right on what he said it was gonna be. So, and they all fit our specs, so anyhow, that's what I got. Unless you got any questions about that.
Use a Ford chassis?
Yeah, the Ford's a little
Gas.
wider.
Yes.
We're going all gas now, unless we go to a truck. Somebody here said, why doesn't Tom bid a four-wheel drive truck? And I did for years and years and years, bid a four-wheel drive truck. And when I bring them to property or finance, they go, nah, you don't need a four-wheel drive. So I quit bidding. So after the fact, when I heard somebody ask that question, I had them bid one, and it's about, for a gas pickup compared to a gas van, it's about 30,000 more, 32,000 more. And if you add the diesel, it's another 30,000. So if you go to the diesel, it's 60,000 more than the vans we're getting, so it's quite expensive. It goes that way. It was 325,000 for the one, the company we usually get have usually got our ambulance from out of Minnesota, bid a four-wheel drive for me just so I could see it, and that's what it was 325,000. So, quite a bit more.
I don't think you could use it hard enough to warrant a diesel anyway.
No, they used to always be diesels, but the maintenance cost is so high, it's 3 times the cost to change oil, and if something goes wrong with them, it's such a bother that, there's only one place that'll work on the diesels we have, and that's Chippewa Ford. Nobody else really wants to look at them, cause they're almost 14 years old, so they're just, they said, if they're shot, they're just shot, you can't fix that. So, yeah, so the
Okay,
one,
so-
the one that we just approved to order on, that'll be our last 2010, is getting traded in on that. So then our oldest truck is a 2014 in the fleet. 2014, 2014, 2020, 2021, 2024, and then a 2025.
You're going 10 to 15 years on it, generally.
Yeah. Trying to, if they don't, it's absolutely blow up. I don't know if our 2014 will last that long. That was the one that we bought that has a 6.8 liter gas engine, and it's just about useless. No power, it was that way from new. It just, Ford went with a 7.3 now, that used to be the diesel, they made a gas out of it, and that's a truck. That thing that should last.
How many miles have you got on the one that you're gonna be trading now in June?
The one that's leaving in June is in Bruce, and I think that's got 139,000 on it. Ben remounted and the boxes was giving me grief on that one, it's falling apart. So, they redid the box, but they just start rusting from the inside out, and they're just, it's not good anymore. And the brakes are not great. And it's the design, it's not that we don't maintain it, it's, they didn't have good brakes that year. So, that one and the one in Hawkins, Bruce and Hawkins are the same year. The one in Bruce was bought in 2010, the other one was bought in 2011, but they're both 2010 chassis, and it just wasn't a great year for that, for Ford, for that 6.0 diesel. Tony's probably worked on a few of those 6.0 diesels. You got any of them, Tony? Don't want one either, do you? I got one for you. So, but.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for Tom?
The other thing I just went and told, Ashley, it's not on the agenda, but just so you know, we did get our Wisconsin Disaster Fund approval for the storm in 22. We finally got, approval for the, work that was done to clean that up, sides of the road and stuff. $66,000 and change, we'll get in about 6 to 8 weeks a check.
Is that just for the county now, right?
That's the counties, yep. Everybody else had to do their own. So townships, Terry did his, everybody, all the townships had to do their own. And some townships did participate, some villages didn't participate. Warehouser started in the program, then they found out how much paperwork it was, they quit. They said for $6,000 it wasn't worth the mess, but our total, expenditures that we put in were 93,000, and this fund paid 70%. So 93, that's relative number, that's what I remember right now from the email, I'm not sure that's exactly right. But it was 66,115, I think, is what we'll get back. The legislature just appropriated 3 million something for that fund, so by the time it gets through the processes, 6 to 8 weeks we'll have a check.
Okay, where's the money go?
Right in the general fund,
General
usually.
fund?
Mm-hmm. That's where,
That's where the expenses.
yeah. Forestry had a certain amount of that expense on their budget, highway had most of the rest.
It's
I had
really
about this much, just the guys going out. I had 2 EMTs and myself went out and did all the pictures and stuff for the damage assessment, which worked really well. So I didn't have much cost there. It was one afternoon we spent that at the county.
This was all 2022 expense, right?
23 expenses, yeah,
Then we could put it back into the appropriate budget.
yeah. So, yeah, all of it was done, well, there was, the emergency stuff was done right away. Forestry did, and highway had to do some roads like F, north by Murphy Dam, because it was plugged right up, they couldn't get through, so that emergency repairs would have been, the end of 22, and the rest of it was all in 23, so. All right,
Okay.
We would make budget adjustments for anybody that was off in 2023 anyways, right? So we just go back and fill them.
yeah,
We haven't finished 2023 yet.
Oh, okay.
We're still.
So appropriation.
You were submit a bid now for an ambulance 25.
I did, and it was accepted, the bid was accepted by Emergency Management or Emergency Services Committee earlier in the month. And that's the one that's 261,000, so as soon as Mark gets back, next couple weeks, supposed to be back in Florida, he'll sign the purchase order and then we'll get that one ordered. Again, that one's got a delivery date of sometime February 25, so that'll be on my 25 budget.
So what you're looking for is a motion from them to approve ordering it into budget for it in 2025.
Well, I could live with that, yes. Cause then I know the money will be in my budget, I don't wanna order this thing and then I don't have the money.
You do need a motion on that?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it wouldn't hurt, so. Okay, got a motion by John to approve the ordering discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, John. Now, we have folks here from the animal shelter, so we might as well take that up. And that is for,
It's working as of now.
improve hunting stores for full-time animal shelter workers.
I just have something for you guys, it doesn't really pertain to finance, but it's just so that you know what's going on around your little animal shelter over there. You guys got. So one of these is the year in review for the animal shelter, and one is a year in review for the humane officer. So y'all know what's been going on over there. Are you speaking first, Terry?
No, I think, we've been to personnel and personnel approved the position moving from part-time worker to a full-time worker because there is no backup out there. There are only 3 part-time workers, and again, they are limited in their hours. It's not like, you know, if they need more time, they're not allowed to. So it's just 1 Dawn full-time and 3 part-time. So we want to move 1 part-time to full-time so that there's always somebody there and can back up during, so she can take a vacation once in a while, and if she's sick and other stuff. Because right now, the part-time leave at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that means she's either gotta stay there or shut the shelter down, or she's gotta go get an animal or run around or do anything else. So it's basically just taking a part-time person and making them full-time, not, so there'd be 2 part-time people and then 2 full-time.
You can't have just one of the part-time people stay till 4 instead of 2.
They don't have that many hours.
But they can start later.
Who's gonna clean the animal shelter? The animals are in there for 18 hours, so somebody has to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. They can't start late. If they start late, I have to do all the cleaning and then all my other work, which I've done before. But it's not really ideal, cause I'm in the middle of, this year alone, I'm already in the middle of 7, I have 8 animal complaints already. 4 of them I'm working on simultaneously. And it's not like you just make a phone call, write a little note. These are like, this is a lot of work for me. That's just humane officer. So animals have to go, get spayed neutered, that's a drive. I don't even do that because I can't leave. Somebody else does that is doing that and not getting paid for it right now, because if that person decides not to do it, then I have to do it, and I will be not at the shelter for multiple days, all day long, and then you have 1 person there that doesn't do animal control, cannot answer animal complaints. I've already on my 3rd or 4th bike quarantine this year already. I've written several warnings already this year, and that's just humane officer. So, and then the other full-time job is the shelter manager, which deals with, the health of the animals, the employees. The problem is they're only allowed to work 8 to 2. That's it. Because of the job description? Because of whatever hours are allocated, which I'm not sure what that is. It's per year.
Because of the budget.
Then it makes them a full-time employee if they go over that.
Right, it makes them a
Well, they get
full-time
their
employee.
benefits. Yeah, they have
Yes.
to get benefits and they can't do it,
I
so
was
they
trying
have to monitor.
Yeah, so the issue arises is what happens is I have to do all, and it's not a big, it is a big deal, I'm surviving, but it's extremely stressful when I have 4 animal complaints. I'm in the middle of an actual animal cruelty complaint that I'm having to do a lot of work on, and then I'm also answering the phone, I'm doing janitorial, I'm cleaning cats, I'm cleaning dogs. One of my employees was sick this week, so I did the dogs and the cats.
Can you have volunteers clean?
They can clean, but I don't have that many because, I have a few, a couple of them went on break. They can clean, but you still, I can't leave them there, you know what I mean? And there's certain animals they can't clean, either because the animals aren't either good with people, maybe they just got there, or, they have fleas or sick, or, there's many reasons, so they can clean. But I can't leave a volunteer at the shelter by themselves.
Could they be there when the part-time person's there?
Could they what?
Could they be there when the part-time person's there?
Yes, absolutely. It's just a lot of people aren't like rushing in to, do those things. And I also don't have anybody on call for animal control, because nobody wants to work for the pay. So that is one thing that the budget will go down a little bit, because I'm not paying anybody after hours. However, after hours goes to the sheriff's department and to me. So I'm on call 24/7, 365 days a year. I can't even go out of town, because if something happens, I have to go deal with it. There's nobody else, because nobody's gonna get paid. If the sheriff's department doesn't do it, or they don't have enough people, I have to do it. I ran all the way to Holcomb on a Sunday to get a cat out of a tree, because the people that were there were very concerned, and the cat was up there for days, screaming and yelling and crying. And I had to go up a ladder 20 feet, because nobody would help them. And I wasn't gonna let, two elderly people watch this cat, they're screaming. I've been there on Saturdays, I've been there till 7 o'clock at night, cause there really isn't anybody else that can do my job for me, you know what I mean? So I have to write the citations, in the middle of writing citations, I'm doing the complaints, and I'm doing vaccines, and I have to do physical exams on animals that are emaciated. We got a couple in today, a couple in last week that are very skinny. You can't just throw them in a kennel and here's some food. There are things that you have to do to make sure all these animals are healthy, and, that your employees are following things, so it's kind of like 2 full-time jobs that I'm doing at maybe 50%, probably less of each job. Does that make sense? So it's kinda like,
How was it handled?
it takes a long time to do some of this stuff, it's not just a phone call.
Yeah, how was it handled previously?
I have no idea.
How many board members volunteer?
Do you want to volunteer?
No, I want you to.
Okay.
From what I understand, they had a family of volunteers, but a lot of stuff, from also what I understand, didn't get done. And volunteers are doing things they shouldn't be doing.
Do you know stuff wasn't getting done?
I could tell when I walked in there, when I wasn't even hired,
But that was when there was nobody in charge for that time.
for a few months. I mean, it looked like
And
nobody had been running it for years.
After a few months of losing your department, that I would assume things have probably gone downhill some.
A little bit, but I wouldn't expect, I mean, what I really get into it. I mean, I wasn't there, I don't know what happened, but from what I can tell you, from my observation, is it looked like nobody had even been working in that office. Like, I had nothing, I had to start over, I had to start from scratch.
There hadn't been somebody for a couple months.
It looked like a couple years. So unless you have been there, unless you've seen what it looked like, I guess, I don't know. There's a lot of things that weren't being done. Vaccinations weren't done correctly. I've got, tons of people with tons of animals that are breeding them and not taking care of them all over the place. Feral cats all over the place that were never trapped, never taken care of. Animals living in garbage and filth in the city of Ladysmith, I mean, and it's like pretty blatant that it's happening, and nobody did anything about it. That was the job of whoever was there before me. So, when I came in, it was very dirty, very disorganized. The treatment room that's supposed to be used for doing physicals and treatments of animals, you couldn't even get in there. It was piled with junk. The dog room in the back had junk everywhere, so that tells me that things were not getting done for years, not just months. That's what that tells me. When I go into the computer system and I can't find anything for quarantines or anything for, I don't know, whatever, stuff that you use to run an animal shelter, no SOPs, no protocols for how these animals come in, or, animals are lost or strayed. It looked like nobody was ever in there.
So now with these feral cats, what are we doing with feral cats?
I trapped like 30 of them.
And then
Where'd they go?
Yeah.
Some of them went to a rescue in Rice Lake, cause they also helped me. Some of them were rehomed through farms. I don't know if you guys watch our Facebook page.
Like the working cat thing.
Yes, all of those, they're all gone, they all went to places they're
So
supposed to go.
that's been a concern of constituents of mine is like even the working cats, if they're feral cats to begin with, they become feral cats at the next farm. And they end up going out and killing birds and rabbits and everything else. And that's, somewhat of a concern of my constituents is that the feral cats, we're not really taking care of the issue, we're just moving the issue.
Okay, so the feral cats not being taken care of in the city of Ladysmith, there was an ordinance to where they were not allowed to feed them or not allowed to do anything with them, okay? So what do you think happened to all the feral cats in the city of Ladysmith that nobody did anything with, that they ignored?
Randy, can I interrupt for just a second? The agenda item is determining a funding source. Not to say that this isn't a great discussion, but we're getting a little bit off.
You're
Thank you.
correct. So, yeah,
So what do you wanna know, besides me euthanizing all the
Okay.
feral cats?
so we're going from part-time to full-time, so
Yes.
what's the dollar amount that we're looking at here? So that I take it personnel approved this?
That's where we was, yes.
So, what's the dollar amount that we're looking at?
We don't know because this position has not been submitted to Carlson Detman, so we do not know where it would fall on the wage scale. So based on the current wage, like if it was the same wage as what the part-time, employee is making, it would require a budget amendment or adjustment of somewhere between 25,000 and 29,000 annually. So obviously it would be less for
So you don't have that, that's not in your budget.
No.
So I can add that we did increase our adoption fees, for cats and dogs this year. So cats went from 60 to 75 and dogs went from 100 to 150. So we don't have after hours on call anymore, which that people got paid for doing that, so that's, might help a little bit. I'm also trying to work really hard and increase the compliance to the dog licensing. And I think we've been doing that. That is, that's a good chunk of money if you get everybody to license their dogs. Also been trying to encourage, people to get their cats licensed. That's not a state law, but it is an ordinance in the city of Ladysmith. So, that also, the more people you can get to that, there is more funding there that way too, if you can get it going.
When I said 29, I meant 39, sorry, 39,000.
25 to 39 or 35 to 39?
25 to 39,000 depending on,
Depending, yeah,
On
like
benefits.
insurance too, isn't it, or, person,
Yeah.
whoever is hired, if they take.
yeah, and even if there is extra revenue, it would still, because it's increasing the expenses, it would require a budget amendment, which would, and so that's really, the number that we need to look at for this.
Okay, I don't believe we've spent any of the contingency at this point. And that would be one option, isn't it?
Only February, we might as well spend it now.
What's that?
I said it's only February, we might as well spend it now.
Yes, but they reimburse us 40% of the cost, so we still have to budget for the full expense. So, what we would need from contingency would only be 60% of that. But as far as it's not in the budget, because when we look at what was budgeted for expenditures, we need to look at the total expenditures.
How would this sit with the city, cause they're gonna pay part of this?
There's a joint management committee and everything, but that mainly is for physical stuff and everything and not operations. The operations is up to us, is my understanding.
Right, so this did go through Terry's committee, the Joint Animal Control Board Committee, and they're who referred it to personnel, so I would say that the city reps were on board with that. Was it a unanimous?
Yes.
Yep.
That would be my suggestion, use contingency funds for our portion of it.
Yeah.
Is it half or
60%.
60%?
Yeah, we just don't know what that fiscal impact is going to be until that position is submitted to Carlson Detman for placement on the wage scale. Well, once we submit it,
It takes between 2 and 6 weeks, depending on what their project load is.
But it shouldn't have a huge difference.
it's hard to say.
Maybe we should wait to see what Carlson Detman says, cause that way we could determine, you know, if we're gonna budget for it, how much it actually is.
So a resolution is coming to the county board on Tuesday night, and if you choose to pass the resolution as written, you're approving the position going from part-time to full-time, you're approving it being sent to Carlson Detman, and you're approving us to recruit for the position all in one resolution.
Without knowing the fiscal impact.
Correct, that's how it's written.
I would like to see this Carlson Detman person get that, another idea. Of this for the tax number.
Phil, they've been kicking this can for 3 months already. It's not our fault, for mine, I don't think. This can's getting pretty wore out. And I can tell you right now, she's going,
She will, and
that's not a matter of.
furthermore, did we refer to Carlson Detman when we granted stipends? Is that taken into consideration?
What were your hopes as far as
I don't know what you're.
getting somebody on board?
What are my hopes?
Yeah, tomorrow.
I think we planned for April 1, right?
Yeah.
1st of April.
Because she, like I say, she's being fried right now. She hasn't had any time off, well, tell them about that then.
I have well, I might have more now, last time I checked, I had 196 hours of PTO, not used.
Have you lost some?
Probably last March, I don't know how much, or it
Well,
went
you
into
don't-
my
no,
retirement.
You don't lose it,
You don't lose it, it just goes somewhere else.
Yeah,
Well, I think, you know, we can approve, if you so desire, we can approve that, contingent on Carlson Detman.
Do you wanna put like an up to,
The highest you think it's gonna go is 39.
well, that's based on what the current wage is, I almost think you should approve up to 50,000, just to be on
Yeah.
the safe side.
Yeah.
we
You
think
don't-
it'll probably grade a little higher, sorry to interrupt you, than the part-time person. Or the part-time job description, we think it'll grade higher than that.
I would assume there's a few more duties added to, full-time job description.
Right, it's gonna get more job duties added to them, obviously.
Well, the job description and the JQ have already been approved. And that it's really a backup for her. Granted, this person isn't going to be licensed as all her stuff. I mean, they're not gonna be able to get certain shots, they can't be doing certain things. But they can be there and the shelter can keep running if she's taking some time off or doing anything as a backup.
And yeah, cause right now, if I was to go out of town and something happened, there would be anybody could call. You know what I mean, like if there was a situation at the animal shelter and I happen to go out of town, there's nobody to call. They don't get paid any more beyond what their hours worked, and that's what I'm trying to avoid. You know, I'm trying to avoid a situation to where somebody needs help and, you know, the sheriff's department can't help them, or an animal comes in that's, you know, something's wrong with it that somebody needs to look at, that I trust, that can make, you know what I mean, that can actually go there and take a look. That's not gonna happen, so I don't go out of town, you know, just because I worry that no one's gonna get called, or there's nobody to cover. And there's a lot more things that we could be doing and getting done and making things even, you know, getting more money and stuff like that if I wasn't like tied down so hard and didn't have anybody to help me. You know, there's a lot of other things that can be done there, but you just can't do them because there's just not
Well,
enough
like,
people.
it's, you know, like, we just need to approve the funding, I think, probably a motion would be in order to approve funding pending Carlson Detman, decision, and up to $50,000.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by John, is there a second?
I'll figure out.
Second by Tony. Any other discussion?
Out of contingencies, what you're saying?
Pardon, I didn't hear that.
Out of contingency, that's what the motion is.
Out of contingency, correct, yes.
Which is only 60%.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Alright.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks.
welcome. Okay, go to Rusk County Housing Authority ARPA request. I put that in there. What we're looking for there at the, Housing Authority is upgrading the old boilers. We did get a grant for three of the buildings. We got a grant for Weyerhaeuser, it's, 29,000 for that one, cause there are two boilers there. One for Ladysmith and one for Sheldon. Sheldon has a old oil-fired boiler. So, and they're, those things are, they're just like flushing a toilet, you know, when they're, so, we got a grant for $50,000.
For Sheldon? Yeah, for Sheldon?
For the three.
All three.
For three. So what but we're short, we're gonna be short 11,600, because the bid was 61,300 and some dollars. So what we're looking for is that 11,003, but then we're also gonna have to buy a propane tank, 1,000-gallon tank, and they told me that's about 3,800. So then I'm looking for perhaps $30,000 for the other two locations, for Bruce and for Hawkins. That would put new heating systems in all of the buildings, which would be a tremendous savings for the housing authority, because utilities are killing us now. This last winter now has been a real plus, because we've saved a lot of money on heating. We haven't had snow removal, and we've also been able to get the rent increased. Now, when I say rent increase, it's gonna be housing, rural development and HUD are gonna be the ones paying that increase, because the residents are still gonna pay their 30% of their income, so. We got that across, and so we did have a debt out there, and that, it was 80,000, and that's, in the last 3 months, they cut that in half. So it's really, it's going good for us, so. And if we could get these heating units fixed, that would be a real plus for us.
So you're looking at 30,000 coming out of ARPA?
Yeah.
30 total, is it?
How much did you get to total again?
Yeah.
30,000 plus
45.
45?
So 15,000 for Weyerhaeuser, 30,000 for the other two, cause it was Sheldon and.
Well, not.
Now, it seems like that Rusk County Housing Authority, you guys got a little better plan on going forward, how to manage your budget a little better, cause it seemed like they were in trouble quite a bit before.
Yeah, there's been a tremendous improvement in the management from what it was before.
Wasn't somebody previously managing it before?
That thing almost went bankrupt, or not bankrupt, but,
I think they almost
good.
I can't think of the name, but.
Impact
Whoever-
7?
Impact 7 helped with it for a while.
That's really myself.
We had two quotes on those three units, and one was 62,000, the other was 61,000, so it's, we do have competitive bid on it, so.
At least that's what
And I was trying to get some more prices on Bruce and Sheldon, or, Bruce and Hawkins, but, and they're still working on that one, so.
This is all the fixed furnaces, right?
Pardon?
This is all the fixed furnaces, right?
One LP.
Yeah, all heating,
So this is for Weyerhaeuser, Bruce and Hawkins, or?
no, Weyerhaeuser, Ladysmith, and Sheldon.
Okay.
Thank you. I thought it was rockets.
Does that include the tank too? You think there's a tank?
Yeah, I kinda figured a tank in that, not that, the tank was not included in the bid, so that's gonna be extra. And Sheldon does not have natural gas, so we've gotta use propane there, so. And we also did get another grant for $50,000, and that was specifically for flooring. So a lot of the apartments got new flooring, so that was, so rentals are up, people are wanting to move in, so things are looking better.
4,000 in addition to the 30,000 from ARPA?
45,000 out of ARPA total,
45 total?
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that would, you know, that would be, they'll leverage that 50,000 very well.
Be about 3,500 for the tag.
What they tell me, what, 35, 38, somewhere there.
Just say,
How much uncommitted ARPA we have left?
Just under $1 million.
Just under $1 million? I'll make a motion to approve that.
Send it to county board.
Yes.
Motion by Tony, to send it to the county board for approval, is there a second? A second by John. Any more discussion, any questions on the whole operation?
what was the total cost again? For the total cost for the three?
For the three,
Yeah.
60,
And that,
61,339.
and that, you got a good chunk that's being covered by grants,
Yeah, that'll,
so.
50,000 will cover part of that, so.
So they're already getting some kickback from the government that way. And then the government's paying the, for rent, on top of that.
Yeah.
I mean, how much government money should we be piling into this thing?
How much is, well, let's see, how much is coming in? Figures here. I don't know if I can find it right now, but I know we went up from, it was like 5,500 up to about 12,000 for a month.
I feel like there's already a lot of government money going into this, that, maybe we should find something else for the ARPA funds to, might be a benefit to more different groups, since there's already quite a bit going into that.
Is this gonna have anything to do with separating utilities at all? Separating utilities is gonna, any of that gonna be involved? You know, for the individual heating bills, right?
I still don't quite understand how,
Separate the utilities? Utilities are you gonna be involved with separating the utilities?
well, yeah, they're all separate, yeah.
Yeah.
So, any other questions on the whole thing? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, say no.
No,
And the motion carries, and I vote yes.
Opposite today.
The approval funding source for hospital demolition change order. We know what that one's about? Oh, yeah, that was on the utilities, is that the one?
No, this is different. Is Gary coming?
I don't know.
I have an email.
Wasn't it, didn't it have to do with asbestos on the outside of, the foundation?
it was supposed to, should have been in,
Nothing there anymore.
in the quote.
No, but I think there was,
There was something in the
asbestos on the
contract.
foundation, that
Oh,
they had
okay.
below ground, and I think that was extra cost.
It was contingent on what they found when they ripped out.
That wasn't included in the original bid.
So, kind of a surprise.
Yeah.
Can't contaminate foundation, wall quality paid per ton, they estimated 550 ton at $84 a ton. It's 46,200, and there's a PCB testing for $600.
So there was contaminated soil, or was it like?
No, this is foundation, like where they put.
Just foundation.
When they coat it with something,
And that didn't show up when we did our testing?
so they had to remove the foundation, but since the foundation had asbestos coating on it, they had to.
We paid a company to test for asbestos, and they gave their results. And that's what should have been given to the contractors when they were doing their bids.
Anyway, I was.
Want me to call a hearing?
46,000.
Yeah.
To get rid of that.
So is that,
Is this
is that part of the project completed then?
Is
this the foundation that's underground?
Yeah, it was below
Below
surface.
surface, so how would you know, how would you test it?
Well, I suppose they pulled it up and sampled it or something, I would guess. I don't know.
What was that dollar, 42,000?
46.2.
He's given authority already to go ahead. I gave him the go-ahead for 2/9/24 property.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice.
We can take that money out of the wind down funds.
Right, that's what I was gonna suggest. Take it out of hand.
Is there any argument on our part, or?
I don't think we really have much of a choice.
How did they make their bid though? They bid based on what we gave them, right, from the asbestos survey. So if the asbestos survey wasn't showing something, then we should go back and talk
I
to
think
people
it's,
that the
I think
asbestos
what,
survey.
if I recall right, I think the survey specified that they did not include any possible asbestos underground on the foundation.
I know that for sure.
I said, I think I recall reading that or seeing it.
I think he's correct.
I will check if it's not in there. Right, double check.
So we've got an official bill on it, then, is that right?
I don't think we've gotten a change order form yet.
Well, should we be addressing it until we get one, or?
Maybe we should just have Rich double check both the contracts.
Here.
I mean, if we gotta pay it, we have to pay it, but I just feel like somebody messed up here.
I agree with you.
And maybe,
We did have that done.
yeah,
And if they didn't go in, if they didn't dig a hole in the ground and see what's on the outside of that foundation, that's not our fault.
yeah, and yes, like Tony said, and yes, that was specified that they weren't checking underground,
Yeah, I think.
then I think we're stuck.
Okay, so Tony was right, can I read it to you,
Yep,
Frank?
go ahead.
Okay, so it says reasonable attempts were made to identify and sample exterior foundation coatings. However, it remains possible that such coatings are present well below ground level and will be discovered only once heavy equipment has conducted significant excavation. ACM foundation coatings were identified in one area on the interior and are assumed to be present throughout.
And so then Haas made that bid, not knowing it was there.
No, I just thought I remembered.
Most likely.
It's a painted foundation,
Thanks,
that's gonna be hard to find,
Right,
unless you're digging it,
right.
so.
So the second question then is, should we make a motion now or once we have the change order?
Well, I mean, I think the email that Connie read is probably sufficient, because I think didn't they quote the tonnage, Connie? Yeah.
It kinda sounds like you're giving the go ahead, hey.
He did.
But we've got that part of the project taken care of then, so there's not gonna be any more coming up, or?
Didn't say that, they just said then as soon as we got cleanup and hauling out rebar, taking out foundation. The next 2 weeks hauling out foundation, hauling out asbestos contained foundation. The week of the 19th, start removal and clearing the tanks.
winter to work.
Yeah.
They had a nice winter to work.
I'll say.
Yeah.
I'm not sure just how to handle this, if we should approve the whole thing with, you know, out of line down funds.
What was the line, like, or the line down funds, or the budget line that was the line down funds?
Yeah, I need to kind of move it, I'm planning on moving it to that same budget where like the rent revenue was going. Kind of, now that there's no longer restrictions on those line down funds, it really should be revenue for what, you know, I need to make entries to adjust that.
I'll make the motion to pay it out of that budget.
Wind down.
Yeah, formerly wind down fund,
Wind down
wherever
slash
the wind,
hospital budget.
wherever the wind down funds end up.
Yeah.
Okay, who made the motion?
Phil.
Phil, John second. Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. And motion carries. County clerk, going to determine one deputy clerk.
I mean, this is an FMLA thing, but I need some help with elections, cause one of my girls are, couple months off. So, I was probably approved by personnel, you're my oversight, so. What are you here?
And do you have money in your budget?
Because one's gonna be off, or?
Yeah, I just didn't know
How does that,
what
so,
the pay
so
status
when
was gonna be.
somebody's off like that, they get paid not out of budget, but out of, FMLA then, so that it
No,
doesn't affect the
it
budget?
depends on each person's situation. So they can choose to take some time unpaid, they can also use their leave balances, where it would still hit the budget.
Is that, do we
Well,
know,
after 6 weeks, it
do
will.
we have a suspicion on how this employee will use their time off?
I don't know that that's officially,
Or can you even say, I guess?
Yeah, I think that's gonna be fluid with how this person wants to, or how much time that person wants. It's gonna be fluid for how much time this person wants, and if, like Ashley said, if they go past that 6 weeks, then the rules kinda change a little bit on utilizing leave balances.
So for the first 6 weeks, we probably really can't speak to it, because the first 6 weeks, it can be paid or unpaid. Well, taking PTO, they can be forced to take their PTO or not, for the first 6 weeks, they can choose, and I'm not sure how this employee is gonna go yet. After that 6 weeks, they'll have to use their PTO balances. But I don't know if it's been determined yet how long this person is taking off either, has it? Cause I know we've had some recent discussions. On if it's gonna be 12 or if it's gonna be intermittent coming back at 6.
I think she's gonna come back at 6 and just come in half days.
Either way, she's not gonna be here for the election. So,
It's
That's,
not, it's.
Yeah, we're
it's
looking at the end
not-
of May.
Yes, and it's not just the election, it's the work that goes into it before the election. There's a lot that goes into it, it's not
Only
just.
thing is, will this person be that much help to you, because you're
Yeah.
not gonna know anything?
Yeah,
what's
because
going
I'm
on.
gonna bring the person that's at the front window back and to take over the other spot, and then I just need somebody to take care of the front window, and doing dog license and stuff. I mean, I gotta have somebody with that front window, because it gets busy, it really does. That front window has been like, it's unbelievable some days. So, yeah, rather than running back and forth and trying to figure it all out. I'm just gonna switch some things around a little bit, so the person that will be there yet knows what she's doing. We cross-train all the time. And, I mean, she's gonna have to come to board meetings, and, I mean, there's a lot there.
And you went through personnel with that?
Yeah, they approved it.
So we don't know really what a cost might be, or any estimates as to,
Did they say 18 just for the six, once I get that person back part-time, I'm good.
I think we did that.
Between two
Up to
part-time.
6 hours.
It was between two part-time, but
Up
that,
to 6 weeks with the
if I needed to.
Right,
If I needed to bring
I think it was 8.
two people in like half the time, half the
The
30
personnel
plus the
having
5, but only,
Is that practical though, or,
no,
with your training, you're gonna
we'll
be
get it.
too much training there.
So, so do I mean, I'm just, I guess I'm kinda letting you know.
Do you need a motion on
When
this?
is,
I don't think so.
I wanna figure out this year.
I don't think this year.
Do we need to approve the?
Personnel already did. So I don't know if anything needs to be done
so
here.
you don't
Well,
really
it's
know how much,
it's-
money-
but
or
being it's a new
you may have enough in
position.
your budget as it is, so.
But being it's a new position,
It's not,
the LTE position's not a new position,
well, it's just a deputy one type thing, but it's,
but I feel like we took LTE's full board for it.
LTEs does not need.
What I've been trained is that, yeah, and that the LTEs don't even go through the hiring, our normal hiring process, right?
No,
She's just gonna be there, I think it was up to 6 weeks.
yeah,
No, we put it through, in personnel, they made the motion to go through the end of, September. Is what we motioned.
Okay, so we, yeah.
Or what you guys want to
We
do.
never did that far.
Month, maybe?
We wouldn't go that far.
I don't think we need to.
Based on what you.
Well, I don't have a problem with this, I just wanna make sure that we get what we need to out of it. The motion for budgetary purposes.
We should have a motion, right?
I think so, because you guys are the oversight.
But I think her plan has even changed from when we went to personnel. Cause originally it was maybe 12 full weeks out, and now we're thinking only 6 full weeks out and coming back 6 intermittently.
Right.
And you're saying you wouldn't need somebody that last
But
6,
if we're gonna make the motion, let's go on the full 12.
just in case.
Would you rather have that than come back in 6 weeks and something, cause you don't know life happens, especially with these type of things.
Yes.
If it's your first especially, you never know what's gonna happen. You know, how you're gonna feel or whatever, there could be different stuff going on, so I would make a motion to approve, 12 weeks for the LTE.
I don't know, do we need a motion though?
You're her oversight, but then are you doing it within the, within her existing, like payroll budget? Or are you allocating
I
any
mean, you
additional
could do
dollars?
that, I mean, you know, if there's money available, then she can, you know, pay it out of her budget, and if she runs over,
Then I'll
we have
come
to
back.
address it.
I would say that's probably best for starters, because with the way it sounds with, the off time, we don't 100% know how that's gonna hit the budget. And we can always address that later, with the understanding that we may have to make, modification.
Yeah,
Based on,
I don't,
once we find out, yeah.
I know it.
So just approve it within the existing payroll budget in the clerks.
And then,
For up to 12 weeks.
you might have to do some line item transfers or something.
Yeah, within the payroll, yeah, we
So
should,
we
yeah.
change in the future.
What's that?
We put on it something to change in the future.
Okay, we'll move on
Should I
to
put that in the
second.
motion that, subject to change?
In the future.
Well, in the future, we just address the budget at that
I
time.
know, it just, to me, it's, if it's on paper now, then when it comes back around, it's like, we've already been on this road, so now we don't have to like go through this long drawn out thing.
Actually, and it's possible the rates may change, well, it would change.
Right.
So at least the next committee would say, they understood that this may affect the budget, but we don't 100% know how, so maybe that should be subject to
That way
budget.
it's covered.
Alright, John, you, right over here, that's that.
I'm just trying to cover all the points before I make it flips.
So how would you want me to put that?
So, to stay within the confines of the budget for now,
I
but
did see that, yeah.
but could potentially need a budget adjustment once we find out the details of, you know, the person taking the time off.
That makes sense.
That probably wasn't worded the best, but I'm sure you'll
I'll get
word
it,
it better than I did.
I'll get it.
Yeah, if I could just say one thing, if something does go wrong, or she decides to take off more time than that 6 weeks, that's when we will for sure hit outside of
Yeah.
the budget, because you would need your LT person past that 6 weeks, and
And
that,
I'll come back.
that second 6
Before
weeks is when the PTO is gonna have to be used, so then you would be going outside of the budget.
Either way, it's covered. It's in
Yeah.
there, it's covered,
Yeah.
so. You made that,
Should work.
that motion?
Yeah.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second.
Phil made the
Phil and
motion, I'll
John.
second.
Any more discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries. Now we'll move on to number 6, which is cancellation of department credit cards for misuse. We talked about this last month a little bit, and I think we're just gonna put it on, see how things are gonna go, so I don't know, have you,
On the last page of your packet, I updated this at 1 o'clock this afternoon, there's one department that is a big problem with getting, and that's after, I sent out courtesy emails to all the departments. There were 6 departments that I emailed yesterday, and I said, hey, these invoices have not been entered in, and I sent them screenshots of the invoices, or of the, what you're looking at there. Like, please get them entered in by the end of the day, so that I don't have to report to the finance committee that you are not following our policy. And these are the ones that still were not taken care of at 1 o'clock today. And I did my best to try to help with, some of them I was, going into Amazon finding invoices, other ones I was calling the vendors going, hey, I need support for this, because they said, oh, so.
We also did some of them.
So it's a problem.
That's pretty good to know.
And that's, only half of the ones that were on there yesterday.
Well, I appreciate you reaching out first to let them know, that you gave them a courtesy, in that regards. I think we gotta stick to what we said. If there's not consequences, this thing will be 10 pages and there'll be 50 different people on there.
so do we wanna go anywhere, anything further here, or?
I think that credit card needs to be deactivated until everything is caught up.
What limit do you have? Here's a question, what's the limit on them? I mean, that's that amount, what's your limit as far as before you deactivate it? So
Well, I don't know if it should necessarily be a dollar threshold, it's that, in the last 2 days, probably spent 6 to 8 hours trying to track down missing invoices that should have just been taken care of.
Okay, so
entered in.
then let's put it in days, what would you say for days wise?
So, in December at the finance committee meeting, which I, copied that memo into all the departments that I emailed yesterday, said, the finance committee said all purchases need to be entered and approved in my viewpoint within 30 days of the purchase date.
Okay,
And so that's what I used when I was looking through these
so that's
credit
more
cards.
than ample time.
Right, when I purchase something, I just take that invoice and I put it in right away, and boom, I'm done. That one, for the land conservation one, that one, he's working on trying to get the invoice, but he's trying to get that invoice from another department. So I did recommend to him, just please call the vendor and ask them to send you a copy of that invoice. So I don't think that one should be at this point.
Well, you're just not turning the invoice.
Did the other department,
They're supposed to be entering them into the system.
did the other department say they were having issues with the new invoices in particular?
That, the other departments I helped call, all of them I've helped.
Yep.
and even half, you know, the ones that were entered in for this department's help, I had to go in and fix a lot of them as well.
So I would say
They weren't
the
entered
one
in
with just the one,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's actively working on that, I would say we don't cancel that one, but I do think that, we should deactivate until we're caught up for the, thank you. Do you need a motion on that?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will make a motion to, cancel Jeff's, or deactivate his card until he's got all invoices.
Is
At
it
that
just-
point, we could,
This is just one card then?
Yep.
Okay,
we
so I
could
just,
reactivate it,
What was your motion then, Bill?
to deactivate Jeff's, Bugs's card until the invoices are caught up.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Second by Tony.
Ongoing problem.
Any other discussion? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. The motion carries.
This is the resolution for the ARPA Housing Authority.
No. That's that resolution on the ARPA funds. Okay, approve invoices. I didn't have too many questions, but,
Actually, that was just review.
we have tactical gear that we purchased. Now, I know that the tactical team was into a 501c3,
Yes,
and so did that occur after this?
Who's the vendor? Who did we pay it to?
511 INC. It's the very
Oh.
first one on the list.
was it the vests, Jane?
Or the first three, or the
Yeah, the best.
four.
Okay, Randy, the vests were approved in 2023.
Okay.
And I think that was that's not the fundraiser money. But let me just double check on that quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was out of the levy budget.
I mean, you see the Granicus is in there, does that mean they're, officially,
you're paying,
when we're,
working on it. They have everything they need up to this point,
okay, good.
staying on top of it.
I'm looking forward to, using it once it's, okay.
We've got a couple payments to Von Briesen and Roper. Is that Andy Phillips?
No, Andy is a tolls. Von Briesen is our personnel attorney.
Okay. have any questions, that's about all I had, so.
Are you still looking, Tony?
Yeah, well, the only question I had is, the maintenance department bought a concrete saw.
I saw that, yeah.
Huh?
I saw that.
$1,008. How much do they need a concrete saw? You could probably rent one for
Rent one for cheaper for what they use it for.
$25 or something.
We're not sawing it.
Yeah. My fear about some of this stuff, it disappears over time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Same with tools, you buy tools, you might buy a hand tool kit, with different, a whole array of sockets and stuff. First thing you know, you don't have it.
At the same time, if we have to hire out, the more you have to hire out concrete work is pretty expensive, you start contracting for it.
If our maintenance guys are using concrete saw, they're renting, they're buying one. Every night they're sawing the concrete. So if they're gonna saw concrete, they can see, well, rent a saw, and saw the concrete. That's my thought. I mean, they use them occasionally on things, probably for sidewalks or something, not if it's a sidewalk or something of that nature. I don't think there's that much use for demand.
Usually they're hiring a contractor to do that kind of work.
Contract, if you hire something like that, concrete work done, concrete, contractor supplies us off. Yeah, I just don't think things like that are justified. In my eyes.
What all of a sudden, if they're working on something and then if they decide they need a concrete saw to tear something out, and then they gotta go rent it, and there's one not available. I don't know, there's kind of pros and cons to that. I get the, financial side, but at the same time, there's probably.
Another question I had, Jamie, is, Christina at the library asked me yesterday. She got a bill from Rusk County for $7,000 for maintenance.
So that's the time, that's the time study for our maintenance department, for the time that they spend working out at the library, whether it's a request that they put in, or going out there to do heat checks, or other maintenance.
Did we always do that though?
No, last year is the first year we really started billing all the joint management properties, and we'd already done the settlement with the city. Last year, by the time we got those amounts calculated, we had done the library settlement, so we didn't bill it last year. But it is within our agreement, but.
I know the county's obligated for the.
Yeah, and the city's actually already paid for it, they paid for it already, so yeah, we received a check today for that. Yeah.
I know the library budget was over, I think, 104% or something like that, so.
Yeah.
We're gonna be, and this 7,000 will be in addition to that, so you'll have to settle up with the city on that, so.
Yeah, yep, and actually I worked out those amounts with Tony today, the city actually owes us money for the upper library, because they bill us, they take the annual budget, and then we pay monthly, and then at year end we settle up, so they actually owe us like, a little over $6,000, and then we have to pay about $10,000 for the lower level.
It's based on the percentage of users from the county or the city that.
The upper is, and then the lower is 50%.
Okay.
So the costs are separated.
There's like 30-some different libraries that.
Yeah, that's separate from this, but.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? If not, a motion would be in order to approve the invoices.
Can we, with that gray folder, do we wanna talk about that one? So there's some in the gray folder, and there's one in there that we just weren't sure, it's for the decommissioning of the, natural gas line at the hospital, and so we weren't really sure if that should be our responsibility, if that should be Haz's. So Ashley and I talked to Rich about it earlier today, and it's not super clear in the contract, so what we would like is for you guys to approve paying it if Haz doesn't think it's their responsibility. So we just got this invoice today, so we haven't had time to talk to Haz yet. It was like
It's,
$1,600.
$1,106.
taking out of the line down?
Yeah, unless Haas, thinks that it is their responsibility to pay with cause like, in their contract, it specifically said, abandoning of the water and sewer mains. So we weren't sure if this should fall with that or not, so, if you guys are okay with it, we will check with Haas to see whose responsibility they feel it
We'll
is. and-
include that in our bills and then check with Haas and see if it's.
Yeah, I didn't send you any electronic copy of that. Okay, I'll email it to you right now. Okay.
I heard that you might be quiet, but.
Oh, right here. I made a motion.
A motion by John to approve the invoices, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Phil. Any other discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay. Out of county travel, we've got, Sky is going to Brooklyn Center.
Yeah, it's an annual conference that our auditors put on. They do, updates on new accounting standards, that, kind of things, some broad training. So, this guy's gonna, going to that.
The dollar there, I don't know.
$413.
So that includes mileage and registration, hotel. It's just one, but it goes from like 8 AM to 3 PM, so she'll have to go over the night before.
That's the only one we have, is just one.
Yeah.
One county travel.
Yeah.
Make a motion to, with the other county travel.
I'll take it. Approve the out of county travel. Yeah.
Did you have some out-of-county travel then?
Nope, that was it, just that one.
No other requests?
Oh, yeah, just the one for Sky, that was it. Yep. There would have been a lot more if the other departments still had to come, if they were sending more than one person to a training, but, so everybody's very happy about that change to the financial procedures manual.
It really wasn't gonna make a difference, we're just gonna.
Right,
If their
I mean, it's
committee,
in their
if their
budget,
committee
their
approved,
committees.
if their committee felt it was
Mhm.
good training for them.
Yeah, so that's
Safe
some
to
good
say.
feedback to those changes. Also, like, if property committee and joint management committee have already approved it, that we can get those bills paid sooner rather than waiting until the finance committee meeting to pay them.
Well, we need a motion on the out-of-county travel too, so.
Phil
Phil?
already did it. Tony
Tony,
already
okay,
seconded.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Travel is approved. Treasurer's report, I know that, Berna sent an email here this afternoon, I think, or early or this morning.
Yeah, and I printed it and I put it in your packets too. It's on the back side of it should be the second page. Like on the back side of the first page.
Okay. I see interest rates are nicely up. High at 5.75, so that's good.
Yeah, I see that too. Interest rate drop.
Yeah. I think you probably have some extra money in the, on the interest line.
Yeah. once a year, once we get the statements from the incentives, so.
Did you see anything on here, Jamie, that needed discussion or on her reports?
No.
State investment pool is not bad interest either, 4.26.
Yeah, it was, updating our spreadsheet that we use for filling out, like, or giving the interest to our CTC, and it was like, the rates in 2023 compared to 2022, there was months where the interest was 0.2.
Yeah.
So it's really nice seeing that higher interest.
Yeah, I'm not gonna complain about that.
That American Deposit, where is that at?
So their office is in Pewaukee. And they contract with banks all over the country to get the best interest rates, so. Yeah, so far that's been working out pretty well. Brenda's doing a really good job of, finding the best interest rates and getting CDs rolled right away, so.
Yeah, that was 9.75.
Okay, anybody else have any questions on Verna's report? We'll move on to administrative coordinator's report.
Okay, so update from personnel, we are without a district attorney. So the personnel committee has given Crystal, our paralegal, temporary budget oversight authority until we can get a district attorney in here, which isn't looking like it will be anytime soon.
I see, yeah, the governor's kind of extended, whoever comes up,
Yep.
might have a job, so.
Yep, so this is really nothing new for Crystal. She's been, doing PTO requests and entering invoices for a very long time. It's just that we've now given her the authority to officially sign off on payroll and be the final approval for those invoices now. The sheriff brought the potential of matching Act 4 contributions for eligible jail dispatchers to personnel. At the last meeting, no action was taken on that. The Act 4 paperwork is due to me by March 1st. And Jamie will be submitting those forms to ETF on March 4th, and that is an irrevocable decision, for those eligible in the jail, and that's 8 of our jailer dispatchers. So that would be, they have the choice to become protective or stay a general employee. If they choose to become protective, they are responsible for the increased, contribution to WRS. The county doesn't have to increase our contribution to match that like we do for, deputies and the jailers that are in the union contract. So that's, a pretty significant financial, impact to them. So that's what they're debating right now, and that, again, decision is due March 1st, and it's irrevocable, so. Up in HHS, the personnel committee approved 2, WIC employees to be reclassified to part-time. So initially, those employees were, working like 15 to 18 hours, a week. Over the last couple of years, their hours have significantly increased due to increased workload. So they are now officially, part-time employees, which means that they're, eligible for, paid holidays and PTO at our part-time schedule, not the full-time schedule, obviously. Still not eligible for benefits though, so they're under that 29 hours.
And that doesn't have to go to full board to be reclassified?
Well, they've already been working those hours for like 2 years. This should have been addressed some time ago, and we're not reclassifying their position, we're making it right what they've been working for 2 years.
But if they continue on, their job classification is still the way it was, if we're reclassifying, the normal procedure would go to full county board still.
Would you like to refer that to the full county board?
I would, I feel like that'd be more proper.
It's a bit of a unique situation, cause they were technically part-time, they were just below the 20-hour week threshold, so they weren't benefits eligible.
So
before, like the part-time
You
benefits.
said, you said you were reclassifying them.
Well, maybe that was the wrong choice of words. They've been part-time the whole time, it's just that now that they're hitting those hours, we should have been giving them paid holidays and
Okay,
PTO.
so that they would have been classified as part-time, we just weren't.
Right, we don't have part-time, yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it just kinda crossed that threshold.
right, exactly. So that's all we're doing, we're recognizing that yes, you deserve to be given these.
Okay, I got where you're coming from now.
Okay. And then the last thing from personnel is that on Tuesday, they have forwarded a funeral leave policy to the full board for consideration. So we used to offer bereavement leave at the county, and for reasons I don't know, that was taken away. That has been a very hot topic amongst our staff, ever since I've been here, and it's really heated up over the last couple of months. So I presented a policy to department heads, for their feedback, and then brought it to personnel. And what personnel is forwarding to you is kind of a two tiers of relatives. So the first is spouse, parent, sibling, child. And the county would give 5 days of paid leave if an employee were to lose someone in that tier of family. The second tier is like aunt, uncle, grandmother, and that would be 3 days of leave that the county would pay for, with an additional 2 protected days. We're not gonna pay for those 2 days, they can use PTO, but they would have still 5 total days of leave, 3 of which the county pays for, 2 of which they have to use PTO, if that makes sense.
When was the past bereavement policy ended?
I believe when the switchover was made to PTO,
It was like my first year.
So my guess would be the reason they ended it for PTO is they included that in PTO that people were given, so they could use
yeah.
PTO, that would be my guess.
I would agree with that, but here's my counter argument to you, Phil, is that you can't predict when your husband is gonna drop dead.
So, but if they were added in the PTO, then you might have to take PTO away in order to have
No,
a bereavement
They
policy.
took, so we had 1 sick day for every month, and then we had it was a nice amount of PTO, but nothing, so what they did is they calculated, took away all the sick days, that's 12 days. So when it first started out, we only had, I wanna say 7 days of PTO for like 5 years, and that included bereavement.
And then they added the bereavement to the PTO,
No,
so we're still at 7 days.
well, there's been changes to the PTO since then, but that's how it started, so it was really not,
But when bereavement was taken away,
it was just taken away.
they didn't add anything to the PTO.
And here's a hypothetical situation for you, Phil.
Yep.
I get diagnosed with cancer, okay? I have to take off all this time for treatment, and I burn through all of my PTO, I burn through all of my extended leave. I'm paying for all these medical bills, I really can't afford to, go without pay. But fortunately, I have generous coworkers that donate their PTO to me so that I can continue to go to my treatments and get paid for that. But then, my dad dies, and I have to take that time off to help with his funeral arrangements, to be there for everything. And that, no, you cannot donate PTO, you cannot accept donated PTO for that because it's not an FMLA event.
You can donate PTO for other stuff?
If people are on FMLA and they've exhausted all of their leave balance, but in order for them to be able to accept that, they have to have exhausted all of their old leave balances. It's year end, holidays are here, you've got Christmas to pay for. And now you can't afford to even go to your own dad's funeral because hypothetical situation,
I don't know, my
but
one,
it's happened.
I get where you're coming from, it's just, if I could give everybody $1 million, I'd give everybody $1 million, but we do gotta,
And for the most part, there's really not going to be an unbudgeted fiscal impact, because for most of our general employees, we're not going to be paying somebody to cover their shift, they're just going to be gone that day. So, in most cases, there will not be a fiscal impact.
do 5% pay increase for the year.
Which was what, Carlson definitely, we had that whole thing, and they looked over benefits and stuff.
But they
That
didn't
never-
recommend
A
the one
increase.
step. That was a decision made internally here by the board.
But when Carlson Detman looked at benefits, was that brought up as something that was at the top, or?
They didn't consider benefits, they considered strictly wages.
Cause I remember we had that whole thing where it said, well, employees are talking about benefits, different stuff, and that's where we started changing the work days around and stuff.
I think you're confusing maybe the survey that we did through our insurance broker.
That could be.
Maybe because we did ask that question, what's more important to you, a pay raise or seeing
Or
better
even-
health
so-
insurance benefits?
So was the pay raise or
It was like almost 50-50.
cause if I remember, that's kinda how we came to, giving everybody all these pay raises. Cause Carlson Detman and stuff was a huge pay raise for some people, right?
Right.
Some it was not.
I can't say much, my wife gets funeral leave and PTO, so.
And like, in the jail, some of the employees get it and some do not, because some are covered by the union contract and others are not.
This is just something like the county, good gesture, benefit.
And I should also say it's capped at 10 calendar days. Like, God forbid if someone would lose 3 people in tier 1, like I hope that never happens, but it is capped at 10 days.
I lost 2. And I didn't have any PTO. I had nothing.
Okay, alright, so that's the personnel update. For joint management, the animal shelter addition budget came back, at about $636,000. Which is more than I think any of us were anticipating. So the last
What was
update,
that number, sorry?
636,000. So the last update I got from Chair Wedwick is that, he would like the animal shelter board to have a meeting with the architect to determine where possible cuts can be made, to see if that number can come down.
Do you know how much they might have accumulated there? Or what they were expecting that they might pay, have to pay?
I thought they were hoping it would be like 200,000, I think it was
That's what Tom.
quite a bit lower, yeah. Tom, do you remember?
That seems like an awful lot.
That's what we were hoping at, yeah. We have roughly 100,000 in even donations.
In the building fund?
Yeah.
Tom's got it.
Tom, that
He's
was-
ready to donate the rest right there.
That was the architect's, estimate.
Yes, yes. That was architect's estimate.
Yeah, the 636 was their estimate, yep. But that's just the initial, they haven't gone through the prints and
What
made
size was that?
changes. 20 by 40? Okay, so more to come on that, I'm sure. And then the boiler was installed out at the library. And, proposals were due back on February 9th for a link addition between the Dowdy and the Jez Road buildings in the Forest Industrial Park. So I'm sure we will be, seeing what that comes back at next Thursday when joint management meets.
What's the point of doing it together?
I don't, Brandy, do you remember?
What's the point of joining them together?
And I'm not sure, just to make a,
I think that was reviewed.
more square footage for somebody that might want a bigger building.
We can't even rent the 2 that are sitting there, I wanna make more
That's,
square footage.
yeah.
That makes absolutely no sense.
Last estimate I heard was made for 3 million.
Oh, Jesus. Why don't you rent the 2 buildings that are sitting there empty for first, Bob, you gotta get that. Good job. Rocket science, figure that out.
I don't think that'll go anywhere.
Well, it depends, there's businesses out in the industrial park that are interested in different buildings and stuff might be moved around and it might make it, more advantageous for, say, one company to move to another, so another company could expand.
But they should come to the plate then and maybe talk about that,
I-
before we invest $3 million.
I agree.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay,
Short fuse.
that's fine. Okay, so that's all I had for joint management, unless I'm forgetting something, Randy, Tony?
I don't think so.
No, okay. Alright, then for the, where am I? Okay, for the ad hoc construction committee, that committee is forwarding to the county board Tuesday night a recommendation to construct a potential new jail on the block south of Minor Avenue here. And the cost estimate of that is $38.5 million.
Hey,
It was
that's,
36.
hey, you just dropped our battery.
What, I'm sorry, what's that?
That's cheaper than what was advertised in
Contingencies.
Oh, okay, okay, thank you, 36.5.
36.5.
Yeah, with contingencies of like 2 million.
According to this week's paper, that's like supposed to be 48.6.
Or
I don't know where they got their number from.
That was original.
What were they counting interest in already?
No. The original price was on a, whatever, 90-some beds facility.
Yeah, it
And this
was-
is downsized to like a 60 bed or so, 60 or 70.
So this is not actually doing anything on campus.
Right.
It's like a green site going up across the street with a skywalk.
And some remodel work to get it tied in, so.
Building on.
Like a satellite.
Building on like a sidewalk.
Okay.
Time across.
Does anybody know
Or something, or your phone.
the city has some regulations.
I didn't-
as
I didn't
far
know
as
what it was.
parking spaces for us. Or, that would include
Okay.
parking there.
I figured there had to
Because I said, but
be
they, part of the plan was to develop that.
free, like, new land or something.
There's
Okay.
a lot,
Oh, okay.
there's a lot.
Well, you-
There's gonna be a lot of reviewing to do.
I'm sure.
So any of the contractors will be here
That I know.
for the county board meeting, and they'll be presenting a letter, it'll be in the packet, which you should have by Friday. A packet that will go out to the public. I'm sorry, a letter that will go out to the public. Saying what they're proposing, and then also, he's going to bring a video presentation.
But the jail itself is on the agenda for,
You gotta
to
get
be voted on?
No,
No, just to approve, like, the letter going out. On the letter, there will be 3 dates, where there will be public meetings. There'll be one in warehouse and one in instruction,
Hawkins,
Hawkins, and then one in.
one at Jump River.
Oh, one in Jump River.
You already have a copy of the letter?
It'll be in your packet tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be, yeah, it's okay. I do have a copy, I just.
I guess package coming out tomorrow.
Yep.
I was gonna ask to send it, but nothing tomorrow.
Okay, yep.
Actually, as far as joint management, we get reminded every so often, and we did last month about the Gates Avenue building and how
Yeah.
we're almost like we're squatters in there.
Yeah.
Partly,
We got
Don't
them,
violate.
we got them, our spotters up there.
Well,
Half the city's building and half ours. We're not getting anything about out of the side that we're using.
So, yeah, I don't know, we have nothing lined up as far as, and I mean, the sheriff's department needs some space for their,
Not that much space.
well,
Have you been out there?
oh, yeah, yeah.
You see how much room there was out there?
yeah.
There's a lot of empty space.
There's a lot, yeah, there's more than they need there, so.
Okay, alright, so then an update on the hospital and nursing home site. Tuesday night, you will be presented an offer from, Bill Rams and Gordy Duker-Shine, who have formed HCA. They're gonna be presenting on a potential development of the, site and give you an offer to purchase the clinic facility and the, land there, so between College, 27 down to the river, and that will also be in your packet tomorrow for you to read over, during the weekend. Okay. So that's, okay, hospital and clinic, okay, and then,
Did they have something, perhaps a usage of the clinic building? Or-
yes, yep, and that, that'll be in your packet as well, it's, a school, kind of like a non-traditional Christian school with, you know, Christian values and teaching children not only classroom learning, but also about the trades, to kind of, you know, have a well-shaped kid that we send out into the world. They have a document that it kind of runs through it that you'll get
They're
tomorrow.
making a presentation.
Yes, so I talked to Bill today and he said that he will be, out of the country, but Gordy is going to be here to answer any questions.
What I wanna know is there gonna be a closed session regarding that?
Yes, so the presentation will be an open, and then if we need to go into closed, there'll be an option to do so. Yep. Okay, and then the last thing, and I don't, maybe Jamie wants to touch on this a little bit more, but we are going to receive, another opioid payment on March 15th. About $7,200.
Which we have not done anything with that funding yet.
No.
So I think Jeremy's got ideas.
Yep.
Problem, the thing is, we don't really have a ton of opioid usage around here, correct?
No, but we can, like, the one thing that Jeremy has been working on, and I, other counties are doing as well, is like a prevention specialist position. So that person can be active in the community, and they can also maybe help out in the jail with our inmate population as well. That's something that he's taken to personnel, I think once or maybe twice, just very preliminary, trying to get a job description done. We have sent it to Carlson Detman and it has been graded. But at this point, still trying to work some things out to see if we want to officially implement that as a
And
position.
a prevention specialist would more or less prevent all types of drugs, so it may help
Yep.
someone there, not a problem.
Yep, and alcohol abuse, things like that. And, you know, getting into the schools too, because like, you know, Rich Gugger will tell you that like children in elementary school are vaping. I mean, that's very concerning. So, kind of good news there. I mean, it's only $7,200, but the money keeps rolling in and Jeremy's got good ideas on how to spend it.
Have we seen or heard anything of opioid, not opioid,
Carbon credit?
carbon credits?
Oh, I wish I hadn't asked. Jared and I had a call, last week or the week before. Our credits are not even to market yet. They're hoping that we go to market here in Q2, yeah. Bayfield County, which went in right before us, the first in Wisconsin, they've sold about 1% of their credits, which was about 6,000 credits at $20 a credit. They will not see any type of revenue until they pay off what they owe. Like we are going to owe money to this company right off the bat for all the work they've put in. So Bayfield needs to sell 15,000 more credits before they will see any money.
Yeah, it kinda sounds like there's not really a big market for carbon credits yet.
Yeah.
Sounds like a hoax.
So, but I will say, Jamie and I had a really successful bond rating call. And do you wanna, you tell me, you're the
I
finance
had it on my
director.
list. I had it on
Hey,
my
go
list.
for
Okay,
it.
well, so about a month ago, we had a bond rating call with S&P, and, it was just kind of a periodic rating call. They wanted a lot of information from us, they wanted to get to know us and kind of get a feel for where the county's headed, and we told them about upcoming projects, about the hospital, about, everything that's been going on here, and we got our rating increased from a AA- to an A+, which is really good, so,
And part of that, where I was going with that is that Jamie and I explained to them that we are excited for carbon credits, we're hopeful that we're gonna get that revenue, but we haven't banked on seeing any of that money. And so that was something we wanted to get across to them, we're doing just fine without that. Would we like to see it? Yeah. Do we have to have it? No, we're okay.
Was at a meeting this morning and that carbon credits came up too, and Chippewa County, they were asking, you know, we did that, and I said, well, we did, and they did too.
No, they did, not Chippewa County did not,
Did not?
no, my dad's on their board.
Well, anyway, a number of counties did not, and I don't really know why they didn't, or why, you have nothing to lose.
Well, it sounds like we haven't gained anything, though either, so.
Yeah, I guess we've lost staff time, you know, Jared and Dane have put a lot of work into it with reporting.
And maybe it'll fizzle out, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just get out of that contract.
I don't know if we can.
Gosh, that's pretty tight there, it's like a 20, was it a 20-year term initially? And then I think it,
Or is it 10?
it goes by chunks of 10, I thought it was initially a 20-year term with the American Carbon Registry, and then after that 20 years, if we don't like a new, we can go with a different, like, salesperson. I'd have to double check, but yeah, it goes in increments
That
of 10
was
years.
based on the county thinking they were gonna get something out of it, and they haven't got anything out of it, so they could say that was kind of false advertisement.
Possibly, but I think if we got out of the contract, we would have to pay them back costs incurred.
Something.
Yep.
They're holding on to our ear.
Okay, that's it then? That's
Yes,
it?
thank you.
Okay, Connie, anything to report?
Well, we had a February 20th election, it went well, it's really simple, it was quite nice, yeah, so.
Stay up till midnight or not?
Oh, no, we were out by 8:30 was,
You what?
we were out by 8:30 typically, we're here from 7 o'clock till midnight, 1 o'clock, so it went really
We
well.
didn't have that many elections involved.
I did hear you won.
Only 3, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes. And so, we're gearing up for the April 2nd election. I will have training for poll workers in March. I have a WCCO conference the first week of March. We've had 3 marriage licenses this year, but I'm sure with the summer coming, that's when everything kicks in. And then we're waiting on 6 townships for a dog license yet. And the late fees for dog license don't start till April 1st, so that's pretty much it.
You have anything, Jamie?
We're still waiting on some departments to get some 2023 invoices in yet, so then we can start doing budget transfers. We've got our audit scheduled in June. I worked through our workers' comp audit, and our workers' comp auditor was very happy with how it all went. It's just kind of funny how it worked out. We pay in the fall of 2022, we had to estimate what our payroll would be for 2023, and you have to put it into different categories, because we pay a higher rate for the highway workers compared to clerical workers. It depends on what they're doing too, it's different rates for some of those people. So we paid like $176,000 in premiums in October of 2022, and then after the year end closes, we do an audit based on our actual payroll in those specific categories to figure out, you know, what we owe still or what they owe us back, and we ended up with a $98 refund from the workers' comp, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, so I don't think we'll ever get that close again. The workers' comp auditor and I went in on a lottery ticket together, and we did not win it. So, yeah, otherwise that's pretty much it.
Your sales tax was down, so.
Yeah, but we're still, we're over budget for 23, and
Yeah.
we still have 1 month to collect, so.
But that's kind of typical.
So I think that we're doing still pretty good on the sales tax.
Okay, anything with our next committee meeting?
So the March and April board meetings got moved up a week, so I didn't know, if you guys would want to also move up the finance committee meeting, otherwise it's gonna happen after county board in March and April.
So, that meeting is, you said
So right now, the March meeting is on the 21st, but county board's gonna be on the 19th.
there you go, why on the 21st?
Well, our meeting is,
Yeah.
yeah,
County board is 19.
yeah, the
That's
county board's the 19th, the
because
finance committee meeting is scheduled for the 21st, so I didn't know if you guys wanted to move it up so that, you know, if there is anything that comes to the committee, we still have time to send it to county board yet, otherwise it's gonna have to wait till the next month.
We probably shouldn't
Matter to me, if you
These
wanna move it up.
March, because anything in April, we're probably not gonna wanna dump a lot on April. Because that's, meetings gonna be restructuring, there's gonna be no new board members, we probably wanna give them a little bit of time to think about what they're doing and stuff, so they can, you know, probably
The
wanna
only
keep.
benefit to having it moved up in April would be that we would still have this committee versus it would be a new committee after county board, which it's
But
fine
then
with me, it's just,
If something goes to county board, you know, that's kind of a restructuring meeting, and if it comes up at the meeting, the finance meeting after that, then they're gonna go through the same questions anyways, right? Then you're restarting on whatever you had explained to us. And hopefully they catch on faster than me, you know, that's, if I'm not honest.
I mean, that's fine with me, so are we thinking we wanna move the
April,
March meeting up a week, but leave the April as is?
I would say move up March, that'd be wise.
Okay, so have March on the 14th
What, 3?
at 3 o'clock?
Cause we got an ad hoc construction at County Board.
Yes. That's on the 14th, yeah.
And that works fine with me, because I would kill a full day, and I don't lose, kill that, lose a full day of driving.
Okay, so we'll move it to the 14th.
That works for Phil and Tony and Jamie.
What time?
3 o'clock.
3?
March 14th. And the April county board is what day?
That is on the 16th because
That's a statutory day.
that is a statutory date, yes.
Okay, anything else? So if nobody has anything further, we will stand adjourned.
Forest Reserve.
All right. I'm in March.
We just had that yesterday.
Thank you.
They did it.
Yeah.
I even wrote it down.
Randy said there's good interest rates right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If we just get the resolution, then I'll take